Jack became a vegetable in order to save the school beauty. I still fulfilled the engagement and married him, taking care of him dutifully. 3 years later, he woke up and turned everything into a novel that went viral online. Later, at a book signing event, Jack publicly declared the school beauty as his girlfriend, who became a star. He questioned why I bound him with marriage, preventing him from being with the school beauty. I was accused of being a mistress by the online community, and the cyberbullying led to my death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of Jack's accident. Jack's mother, asking for the early fulfillment of the marriage contract, found the school beauty and said, "This is your daughter-in-law. The love of your son's life till death do them part. Irene, Aunt hopes you can fulfill the marriage contract with Jack earlier." The pleading voice echoed in my ears as I abruptly opened my eyes. I saw the white ceiling and Jack's mother looking at me anxiously. Was I in the hospital? My mother stood firmly in front of me. "Irene won't marry. Our family will cancel the wedding." The other party became more aggressive upon hearing the cancellation request. "You have benefited a lot from our family over the years. Now that Jack just had an accident, you want to cancel the wedding? Have you no conscience left in your family?" My mother responded without hesitation, "Yes, I have no conscience. Jack is currently in a vegetative state. As a mother, I cannot allow my daughter to marry into a disaster. Even if you kill me, I won't agree to this marriage." The sharp voices of the two arguing caused a headache, but I quickly understood the current situation. I had been reborn 10 years into the past. Back to the beginning of all the pain, back to before I married Jack. We had been childhood sweethearts. The plan was to get married after Jack and I graduated. Unexpectedly, before we graduated, Jack had a car accident and became a vegetable. His mother quickly came to arrange for the marriage to take place earlier, wanting me to marry Jack to bring luck. In my previous life, my mother strongly disagreed and had an argument with her in the hospital room. Later, Jack's mother went to my father, saying if I didn't marry Jack, they would terminate all business cooperation with our family. Over the years, the two families had close ties, and if all cooperation was terminated, we would be severely affected. With our business in its early stages, they had supported my father. My father felt indebted to them and couldn't turn his back on their support. So, he persuaded my mother and me. After I got married, I took care of Jack dutifully. I had prepared myself to be a lifelong widow, but 3 years later, Jack woke up. He woke up with a confused memory, unable to adapt to being already married. So I moved out and lived elsewhere for a while. Later, after his rehabilitation, he brought me back home. I thought it was God's blessing that Jack woke up, but I didn't expect his awakening to be the beginning of all nightmares. Jack wasn't struggling to adapt to being married. He was heartbroken for not being able to marry the woman he loved. It turned out his car accident wasn't an accident. He sacrificed himself to save the school beauty, Selena. Although Jack and I had an engagement, we didn't attend the same university. So I didn't know Jack had a beautiful love story with Selena at school. That day, Jack's mother received a phone call saying Jack was sick. She couldn't leave because of a business meeting. So she asked me to deliver medicine to Jack. Girls were not allowed in the boys' dormitories. So I asked a classmate to deliver the medicine for me. The classmate asked about my relationship with Jack, and I casually mentioned that I was Jack's fiancé. Unexpectedly, Selena also came to deliver medicine to Jack. Upon hearing my words, she realized Jack had an engagement. Feeling deceived, she blacklisted Jack and went to a bar to drown her sorrows. When Jack woke up after taking the medicine, he had no idea what had happened. Learning from others that Selena was at the bar, he hurried to find her despite his illness. He dragged her out of the bar, asking why she had blacklisted him. Selena, unwilling to listen to Jack's explanation, tried to stop a car to leave. In the struggle, a car came speeding towards them. In a critical moment, Jack pushed Selena away, but couldn't save himself. And that particular side door of the bar had no surveillance. No one knew Jack's accident was to save Selena. Later, when casting for a movie at their school, the director picked Selena at first sight, promoting her as a newcomer for the female lead. After the movie was released, her still images were acclaimed, marking the peak of her career. When Jack woke up, he saw Selena as the leading lady married to a tycoon. Jack was unwilling, and he turned the events into a novel. When fans found out the novel was written by a male author and adapted from real events, it went viral online. Later, at a book signing event, Jack publicly confessed his love to Selena. He questioned why I had bound him with marriage, preventing them from being together. Disregarding all my efforts over the years, he blamed everything on me. I was cyberbullied by his fans and condemned by the online community. Even my address was exposed, and whenever I went out, I was surrounded and attacked by the haters, facing public humiliation. Trying to avoid them, I got into a car accident, leading to my death. Unexpectedly, when I woke up again, I had returned to before marrying Jack. This time, I would cancel the wedding. I would never marry Jack again, never step into this disaster again. Lost in thought, I pulled my mother behind me from the ongoing argument. Aunt, it's not that I don't want to marry, it's that Jack doesn't want to marry. My voice fell silent, and the entire hospital room fell silent. Jack's mother's sharp eyes stopped on me. She sneered and pointed to Jack lying in the hospital bed with a ventilator. Irene, you've gone too far. I remained composed. Aunt, if you don't believe me, you can go to the school and ask. As far as I know, Jack has a girlfriend, and he got into the accident to save his girlfriend. Would Jack want to marry me when he risked his life to save his beloved? Besides, we have an engagement, yet Jack secretly had a girlfriend. Isn't that considered cheating? Based on this, my decision to cancel the wedding isn't regrettable. It's a justifiable reason to end the engagement. Clutching her fists tightly, she didn't respond immediately. She couldn't believe her son had done such a thing. Seeing her doubts, I suggested directly, Aunt, if you don't believe me, we can go to the school and clarify everything. After all, I didn't have the ability to bribe an entire school of students to speak for me. After speaking, I turned around with my mother and walked away. I wasn't worried she would refuse, because she just needed a woman to marry Jack for the auspicious occasion. It would be even better if it was a woman his son loved. Moreover, if Jack had an accident for Selena's sake, she couldn't just sit by and watch Selena from the sidelines. Coincidentally, when we arrived at the school, we saw a male student confessing his love to Selena. The crowd was cheering for them to be together. I quickly squeezed into the crowd and interrupted them. Wait, before being together, shouldn't both parties be single first? The sudden interruption left the crowd puzzled. I took advantage of the situation to bring Jack's mother face to face with Selena. Let me introduce you both. This is Jack's mother. I then pointed to Selena. This is your daughter-in-law, the woman your son has faithfully loved till death. Selena's face turned pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just Jack's friend. You're his fiancé. I raised an eyebrow, raising my voice. You and Jack are just friends. What kind of friends hug and kiss, frequently visit hotels together? With my confrontation, a classmate of Jack's spoke up in the crowd. Wasn't Selena Jack's girlfriend? Other voices began to chime in. Didn't they even put their relationship on the confession wall? They were an admired couple, with many classmates envious of them. Remembering, I added, I even saw them on dates, because of their good looks. Selena's complexion became extremely unpleasant, but continued to explain, yes, we were together. But what's wrong with breaking up? Who says couples can't break up? Upon hearing this, Jack's mother already confirmed what I had said at the hospital. Her eyes darkened as she suddenly knelt in front of Selena. Aunt, please come to the hospital to see Jack. Jack loved you so much before the accident. If you come and talk to him, maybe you can wake him up. With the tone of a grieving mother, her plea was heart-wrenching, which made the onlookers pity her. Even if they broke up, couldn't she visit him? After all, they were together before. Now that Jack had an accident, how could she stand by and do nothing? His mother is pleading with you. You should go and see him. Even if you couldn't wake him up, his mother would be grateful for your effort all her life. After her words, Selena's previous displeasure vanished, and she willingly let herself be led away. After the two of them left, the crowd dispersed. I stood there coldly watching their figures recede. White's group was built by Jack's mother with her husband. After her husband passed away, she single-handedly supported White's group. She was definitely not a simple person. Since she knew about Selena and Jack's relationship, she couldn't have just taken Selena to the hospital for a casual visit. Perhaps she would resort to some means to force Selena to marry Jack, and have a happy ending. Let these lovers finally be together. I was curious to see what would become of Jack without my interference. Since that day, Selena never returned to school. I heard she willingly stayed at the hospital to take care of Jack. Sure enough, half a month later, Jack's mother sent me a thank you letter and a wedding invitation. I made excuses and didn't attend. On the contrary, my father felt he missed the chance to repay the kindness, and would often go to the hospital to check on Jack. My mother was afraid my father might do something reckless, and she wanted me to show our gratitude to their family. Every day, I was urged to find a partner, to go on blind dates. Scared, I immersed myself in work to escape the blind dates. As I got busier, time flew by. During this time, I used my memories from my past life to step into the entertainment industry, and invested in several films that would become successful. One of them was a low-budget, high-return youth campus film. The casting for this film was taking place at Jack's school. It was here that the director had spotted Selena, who was the school flower at the time. She was given a supporting role as a newcomer, and started her career as an entertainer, eventually becoming a popular actress. This time around, with me in the mix, Selena wouldn't stand a chance at getting the role of the supporting actress. When I arrived, the auditions were about to begin. Before I could enter the audition room, Selena intercepted me. Irene, what gives you the right to audition? She had developed a permanent grudge against me since our last interaction. I crossed my arms and retorted, why not? The audition location is here. It doesn't mean only students from your school can audition. Selena snorted, sweet talker. Do you believe that a single phone call from me can disqualify you from auditioning? Selena's arrogant demeanor even stunned the investors present. From what I knew, she came from a poor background and didn't seem to have any connections in the entertainment industry. It was highly unlikely that Jack's mother, who solely focused on her son, would support Selena in acting. Maybe Selena was keeping it a secret from her. Selena's implication was that everyone in the directorial team, and even the investors, listened to me. She arrogantly raised her chin. You know it. If you call Jack's mother now and offer to marry Jack, then I might give you a chance. Marry Jack? Isn't that committing bigamy? Selena, stop daydreaming. You're the favored daughter-in-law now. Selena was taken aback by my response and pointed at me fiercely. Irene, I'll immediately have someone throw you out. Just you wait. I smirked. I'll be waiting. Angrily, Selena quickly sent a message on her phone. The response was prompt, and seeing it brought back her confidence. Wait and see. The director is right around the corner. If you regret now, I might give you another chance. I wondered, wasn't the director of this film supposed to be Mike? A young director with numerous awards from overseas. This was his debut film in the country, a myth in the making. His films launched many stars to fame. Even the extras could become famous with just 3 minutes of screen time. People in the industry called him the Godmaker. Although I hadn't met this Mike when I invested, we had chatted a lot on social media. It didn't make sense for the director to change at the last minute, right? The only possibility was that this director was previously an assistant director. Thinking about it, the rumors of Selena being spotted by the director in the past life didn't seem reliable at all. Soon, a middle-aged man with a bulging belly appeared. When Selena saw him, she quickly went up to him and whispered something. Mike, meanwhile, was staring at me while listening. I just stood there with my arms crossed, letting him look. I nodded. Everything was fine. After all, a newcomer in the world of investment was still a newcomer. Seeing that I was indeed a newbie, Director Wang coldly began to usher people out. Little girl, go back where you came from. This is not a playground for you. Stirring up trouble will bear consequences. Selena arrogantly said. Did you hear? Hurry up and leave. Who do you think you are? A deep, angry voice suddenly sounded. Of course, before Selena could finish her sentence, the director swiftly covered her mouth. A figure walked in from behind. He had his hands in his pockets, his chin tilted, an aura of leisure yet commanding presence. It was Mike. The assistant director smiled obsequiously. Mike, it's nothing serious. Just a fan sneaked in. I'll kick her out. Then, he yelled at me. Why aren't you leaving? If you don't, I'll get security to escort you out. Selena understood that Mike was the one with real authority in the crew. She quickly fixed her hair and extended her hand. Hello, I'm Selena, here to audition for the role of the supporting actress. Mike directly ignored her outstretched hand and turned to me. Irene, what do you think? He was asking for my opinion on Selena's suitability for the role. The character was a campus beauty, and Selena's image was a perfect match. But her acting skills were questionable. After all, her fame in the previous life was built on looks, and her acting in subsequent roles was criticized by internet users. Her agent had forced her to take a year of acting classes before she became an award-winning actress. Perhaps, in the previous life, due to budget constraints, only newcomers were hired. Among these newcomers, Selena did fit the role of the supporting actress, added to the fact that she had the backing of director Wang. However, with my intervention in this life and without financial constraints, I would naturally want the best actors for the job. With that in mind, I shook my head. She's not suitable. Selena stomped her foot and retorted indignantly. Who are you to dictate? If I'm not suitable, are you? With my calm response, I informed Mike. I have arranged for Jessie to audition. Jessie is recognized in the entertainment industry as perfect for this role, and we don't have to worry about her acting ability. Upon hearing Jessie's name, Selena's expression turned sour, because she knew that if Jessie auditioned, she wouldn't stand a chance. Despite her reluctance, she struggled. I'm cheaper than Jessie, and my appearance is well suited for this role. If the director chooses me, I don't even want a salary. The assistant director chimed in. Yes, Selena's appearance is highly suitable, and it would save the production a considerable sum of money. We should give newcomers more opportunities. Mike's eyes twinkled mischievously. I would like to give opportunities too, but you've offended even the funding side. How can we give you an opportunity? Both Selena and director Wang looked puzzled. Mike didn't beat around the bush. He turned to me and made a gentlemanly gesture. Irene, please come in. The audition is about to begin. I calmly accepted and walked past the two into the audition room. I heard Mike's joking voice as he left Selena, and director Wang, bewildered, also entered the audition room. After that, the assistant director was also removed from the crew. By the end of the auditions, I realized how sharp Mike's eye for talent was. The actors from my past life were indeed the best choices, of course. With Jesse joining this time, the film was bound to be even better, heading towards a higher pinnacle. Upon returning from school, I hired a private detective to track Selena. I got several photos of her flirting with the assistant director. Even though he had left the current crew, he still had other projects lined up. For Selena as a newcomer, these connections were advantageous. I arranged to meet Jack's mother and presented her with the investigation results. After she had read them, she turned pale and was about to confront Selena. I calmly stopped her. I have a good idea that will make Selena willingly look after Jack, and it will also boost White's group's stock price. She paused suspiciously and looked at me vigilantly. It was understandable since from the moment I spoke those words, our roles had shifted. Faced with her scrutiny, I remained composed. Madam, please sit and listen, then decide whether to trust me or not. After a few seconds of contemplation, she sat back down. I didn't beat around the bush. Live streaming is a hot trend nowadays, with some people even making $1 million in a single night. Selena's image is perfect for being an online host. I've even thought of the gimmicks for her live streams. Her expression turned doubtful. What does this have to do with White's group? The Jacks family is in the food industry, but in recent years, their products are not innovative enough, and their business is declining. The foot traffic in their stores has significantly decreased. So they decided to utilize their son to sell products in live streaming sessions, playing the sympathy card. The woman's eyebrows relaxed, understanding my suggestion instantly. As long as the products sell well, an increase in stock prices is just a matter of time. With this combination marketing strategy, the company could easily earn billions more. She put down her cup, sighed deeply. It's a pity Jack didn't marry you, Irene. This time it's Auntie's debt to you. You can ask for whatever you want directly. In that case, Auntie, sell me 2% of the shares. Let me also have a share of the pie. She agreed without much thought. After all, 2% of the shares were not too much, and it would bind us together on the same boat. She naturally wouldn't refuse. But am I really on the same boat as her? That's not necessarily true. A week later, Selena and Jack became internet sensations. Isn't this true love? Husband in a vegetative state, mother-in-law treats her like her own daughter, and she has money. What kind of novel plot is this? Praying for Jack to wake up. True lovers must eventually be together. With some operations in place, Jack's family decided to sell their products directly. Selena was also talented, playing the role of a pitiful widow in the live streaming sessions charmingly. She earned no less than millions in each live stream. And as the owner of the live streaming platform, I made a fortune. I brought in many excellent hosts. After 2 months of such days, Selena couldn't bear it anymore. All the money she earned from live streaming was controlled by Jack's mother. Once the pressure got too much, Selena was taken to the hospital as soon as she finished the live stream, spending over 10 hours a day facing Jack. Unable to bear the loneliness, she demanded rest and proper time management. If the other party didn't agree, she wouldn't continue. Jack's mother, at her wit's end, had to reduce the frequency of live streams. Publicly, she stated, seeing everyone's support, I hope everyone consumes reasonably. No need to overgift. The live stream was reduced to once a week. This statement further won the goodwill of netizens. Stock prices rose again, reaching artificially high levels. I took the opportunity to sell off the shares Jack's mother gifted me and all the scattered White's group stocks I purchased previously. With the money earned, I invested in a sci-fi series, insisting on the best special effects without cutting corners. With the ups and downs of trends, Selena and her group were soon surpassed. The money earned from live streaming was no longer as lucrative. After all, the initial success was only due to sensationalism. Without consistent quality content, they couldn't continue making money. Selena started thinking differently, flirting with male fans in the live streaming room. Posting some suggestive photos or going out for meals could earn her a lot of money. The best part was the company remained unaware of this money. I forwarded the photos I received to marketing collaborations. The name Pure Love School Flower Selena quickly became a hot search, accompanied by photos that were too explicit to be posted without censorship. Selena was completely boycotted by the entire internet. All her information, including social media accounts, were quickly blocked. Her account on the live streaming platform was forcibly cancelled by me. a statement was released to recover the money, and all gifts were fully refunded to the fans. In the future, any live stream hosts violating morals would also have all their gifted rewards returned. In the end, I surpassed Selena, elevating the reputation of the live streaming platform to new heights. When Jack's mother found out, she was still on a business trip. She rushed back to find Selena packing up to leave. Infuriated, she dragged Selena back and gave her a severe lesson. By the end of it all, Selena ended up with a broken leg, divorcing Jack and leaving with nothing. So, during Jack's coma, not only did he experience marriage, but also divorce, completing 80% of life achievements just by lying in bed. At that moment, if he passed away, he probably wouldn't have many regrets. Because of Selena's actions, even the fans who bought snacks before spoke up. They had been thinking all along that the snacks they bought were terrible and hadn't improved at all over the years. More and more critical comments appeared, and the sales situation at stores worsened by the day. The artificially high stock price swiftly plummeted to a new historical low. Jack's mom was busy handling the company's affairs, having to entrust Jack to a caregiver. This caregiver, who had previously suffered under Selena, now had his chance for revenge on Jack. When the movie I invested in was released, it was a huge success, and the money I put in returned several times over. Mike, with this movie, became famous nationwide. With his newfound fame, he chose not to continue making school-based films, but instead boldly ventured into the sci-fi genre. To produce a good sci-fi film, one must invest significantly in funds. So, with the money still hot in my pocket, I transferred it to Mike's account again. Soon after filming started, I received a call from the crew. They said there was an accident during the explosion scene. I was terrified and rushed to the hospital. Upon arrival, I unexpectedly ran into Jack's mother and Jack in a wheelchair. I raised my eyebrows in surprise, realizing Jack had awakened. Just like in the past life, Jack seemed to think he was just like his past life, because his mother hadn't informed him of the truth, fearful of shocking him. I pretended not to see the knowing look his mother gave me and said, "Since Auntie is busy, shall I call Selena for you? Let her take care of you." Jack brushed his lips and replied, She has nothing to do with me, don't think too much. If you want to exploit my labor, it has nothing to do with Selena, you don't need me anymore. Just kicking me away again. Jack and Selena are truly a pair. I stretched out my voice, meaningfully saying, "Of course. I won't overthink it. Selena, the gentle and considerate, knitted you a green hat while you were still unconscious, worried about you catching a cold." For a moment, Jack had a blank expression, looking confusedly at his mother. "Mom, what does Irene mean?" I explained kindly, "It means your wife had someone else outside, not you." "Enough," Jack's mom roared. "Irene, shut up." I shrugged and gestured to zip my mouth shut. At that moment, Jack seemed like he had been thrown into an endless ice-cold ocean, his blood freezing cold. His fingertips on the wheelchair turned white as his voice grew tense. "I don't believe it. You're all lying to me. Yes, you all just want me to marry you." His tone was haughty, as if I was reaching for him. This was like a nonsense dream spoken by a dreaming man. I was about to say something when a pair of hands lightly wrapped around my shoulders from behind. "Darling, what are you doing here?" It was Mike who had arrived, embracing me. He looked puzzledly at Jack. "Are you pretending to be a good Samaritan, caring for the disabled?" Jack's changing expressions of paleness and greenery were truly amazing, but unfortunately, it wasn't recorded. Otherwise, it could serve as an acting template. Mike clicked his tongue and looked somewhat disappointed. Recalling the scene just now, I couldn't help but smirk. In the previous life, Jack resented me for ruining his love, but this time, waking up, he took advantage of my selflessness again, letting him take all the credit for anything good. However, all of this no longer concerned me. Jack and I were just two strangers walking separate paths. I pushed him out of my mind and followed Mike to visit the hospitalized actors. Mike whispered, "All the safety measures were in place. It's just a few scratches. Nothing to worry about." My worried heart calmed down as I reminded him to be careful again. In the midst of the conversation, my steps faltered as I suddenly asked Mike, "Why did you think of pretending we were a couple in front of Jack?" Mike stiffened. I took a lot of your money, offering complimentary services. Next time you're forced into a blind date, you can still come to me." I squinted my eyes as Mike raised his chin. "Don't underestimate me as just a director. My acting skills are also outstanding." With that, he hurriedly left. "I'm leaving for now. I'll perform my expertise for you next time I'm free." Leaving with that sentence, Mike fled in a hurry, watching his rushed back. I chuckled softly. "Seems like you're going the wrong way." Mike abruptly stopped, made a quick U-turn, and hastened his departure. Despite his flustered departure, I still noticed his ears, bright red with embarrassment. This guy Could it be that he's got a new project in mind just to get my money? Afterward, I occasionally heard news about Jack from my father. It was said that Selena went to the hospital to see Jack, now that Selena was disabled and had a bleak future. Upon hearing news of Jack waking up, she was sure to cling to him. Jack had lain dormant for years, and his mind deteriorated. Selena blamed all her mistakes on his mother, claiming she had no other choice. After crying and pleading pitifully, he forgave her. When Jack's mother found out, she locked Jack away, preventing him from meeting Selena. Jack pretended to listen to her, secretly pushing himself to expedite his recovery. But after being mistreated by the caregiver for 2 years, and enduring intense training, he ended up with a limp leg. Then, taking advantage of his mother's distraction, he sneaked out of the house and eloped with Selena. When his mother found out, she immediately cut off all of Jack's cards, leaving him with no way out. It was clear to all of us that Selena was after Jack's money. If Jack truly became a poor man, Selena wouldn't just sit quietly and accept it. This was a ploy to force Jack to return. However, this time, my father had completely given up, no longer mentioning the debt repayment and engagement. That boy, how could he be so confused? Even though his parents had no feelings for each other, they still supported each other lovingly for a lifetime. My mother twisted his ear, saying, "I think you are the confused one, always pushing our daughter into the fire." The two of them started arguing again. Shortly after, my father came over to me, covering his ears. "Irene, don't be sad. Dad will introduce you to other talented young men." I picked up my bag expressionlessly and left the room. Another person was arranged for me to be set up on a blind date. After avoiding it for half a year, I could not escape the blind date. Sitting across from the man, he kept talking about how much he earned in a year, how popular he was. I resisted the urge to splash water on his face. "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom." At that moment, I finally understood why my father was so grateful to Jack's family, based on his judgment of people. If it weren't for the referral from his uncle back then, he wouldn't have been able to maintain the family business as it is today. As I came out of the restroom, the conversation between two men next to me made me pause. Jack brought the school beauty queen to the class reunion, and the beauty queen's eyes were almost falling on the other rich young masters. Jack is now both poor and crippled, of course. Selena would not be interested in him. I thought Jack was a joke. They really are a perfect match. Speaking of which, I still have the erotic photos from back then. I think Selena's figure is really amazing. Otherwise, how could she deceive so many big brothers into sending her money? Such a good thing shouldn't be kept to oneself. Share it on the cloud. The voices of the two men gradually faded away. Just as I was about to leave, Jack walked out of the men's restroom in a daze. "It seems like I'm not the only one eavesdropping, huh?" Jack's eyes were bloodshot as he bit his teeth. "You're here to laugh at me too, looking for a laugh. I'm not interested." I didn't respond, tried to leave, but Jack grabbed my wrist and pinned me against the wall. "Irene, you've been reborn too, haven't you?" His words shocked me. I couldn't break free in time, and inadvertently he held me down against the wall. "Irene, you're with Mike, that gigolo. It's better to choose me. We have both been reborn. We were husband and wife in our past life. I am your perfect match." I was shocked by Jack's shamelessness once again. He really has no shame, unrivaled in the world. I stared at him coldly. "I have no intention of being anyone's mistress. As long as you promise me, I'll break up with her immediately," Jack hurriedly explained. "I figured it out. Selena is only after my money. She doesn't deserve to be with me." A despicable person. I harshly stepped on Jack, struggled to free myself from his grip. "You're not any better. Don't you want to be with me just for my money?" Taken aback, Jack tried to defend himself. I didn't hold back. "She's not after your money. Is she after your love? Your crippled limb? Selena is indeed not a good person. She's ruthless, cunning. But what about you, Jack? You're just being played around, sacrificing your future for her, a fool." The chilling words echoed in the narrow hallway, cutting into Jack's chest as sharp knives. His hands trembled uncontrollably, almost in a trance, muttering, "No, it's not like that. It's not like that." My words were like salt in his wounds, shattering Jack's beliefs into pieces. I watched him helplessly try to defend himself, trying to salvage his shattered soul. Is Jack really that naive? He's just deceiving himself. The truth was right in front of him, but he refused to believe it. Patching up, deceiving himself over and over again, but this time, there were too many holes, beyond repair. Coldly watching Jack kneel on the ground, I turned and left without hesitation. He made his choices. He would have to bear the consequences himself. When I returned to the private room, Mike had already arrived. He seemed like he had just finished filming an idol drama. Dressed in a custom suit, he sat upright, playing with his wristwatch. With the sound of my footsteps, Mike looked up, stood up, and wrapped his arm around my waist. "Woman, you dare marry someone else with my child?" I struggled to make a sound, asking Mike in a breathy tone. "Have you gone crazy from acting?" Mike gave me a reassuring look. I buried my head in his chest without hesitation. The man on the blind date cursed. "Crazy." He got up, glared at Mike and me with malice, and left the room. Once he left, I quickly broke free from Mike's embrace. "You look so greasy in that outfit. What's up with that?" Bewildered, Mike touched his head. Is it very greasy? I heard that the young girls nowadays like this style." I stared at him threateningly. "Don't gatecrash the set. Stay away from those CEO novels." Mike grinned. "Got it." We reached the door, and as it opened, a scream echoed in the hallway. "Oh, murder. Someone's been killed." Security quickly arrived to maintain order. I glanced at the scene from a distance. Blood splattered on the ground. Selena lay with wide eyes, in disbelief even in death, and kneeling in front of her was Jack, holding a knife. Jack had killed the love of his life, the one he fought so hard to save 3 years ago. How ironic. When the police arrived, Jack's mother also arrived. She looked at Jack, now a murderer, with eyes wide, and fainted on the spot. I noticed that after not seeing her for a long time, the once fierce woman looked 10 years older. I escorted Mike to the neighboring drama set, returned the costume and makeup, and that was when my mother called. Her voice filled with disbelief echoed through the phone. "Irene, you're pregnant before marriage." I was about to explain, but in the next second, her surprised voice rang out again. "You've really grown up." "I'm going to be a grandmother. I have to brag to my friends. I'm going to be a grandmother." "Old man, you're going to be a grandfather." I silently hung up the phone. Here we go again. 2 more are crazy. With his hands in his pockets, Mike casually said, "Look at the bright side. You won't have to go on blind dates for the next year." A year later, how do I magically come up with a child for my mother? It would be ridiculous to borrow a child from the neighboring drama set. Suddenly, Mike stood up awkwardly, blinked at me. Do you think it's possible?" He hurried to catch himself. I covered my pounding heart and chuckled. "You, a grandchild that big? Will my mom accept it?" Mike stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Seeing Mike's playful side, I couldn't help but laugh. He pouted and playfully held onto my clothes. "You're teasing me. I may just get a little mad." Feeling disturbed, I shook off the goosebumps and pulled my clothes back, hurrying my steps. Mike stood there motionless. I casually said, "Hurry up. My mom is calling you back for dinner." Laughing and joking, we walked further away. In the bright light, 2 shadows gradually merged, overlapping slowly. From then on, my life officially embarked on a new chapter.